Welcome to Core Finance. My name's Charlie Burton. Today I've got independent trader Ben Usiskin with me. And welcome to the show, Ben.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Pleasure to be here.
So Ben, we're recording this in middle of August. How's these summer markets treating you?
They're going all right. A little bit slow.
Yeah.
As you'd expect for August, really.
Well, how many Augusts have you actually been trading?
So trading properly, probably about 3. I think been aware of the markets and been following the markets for about 4 or 5 before that.
Right. Okay. So you have got some experience of trading through the summer and through these doldrums of the summer.
Being aware of it, yeah.
How does this summer compare to, let's say, last year then?
I didn't actually do much last year. I think I've been more active this year and trying to actually get more into it. But I think if it's teaching me anything, it's just reinforcing the patience that you need to have for the summer markets and just accepting that, the trades that you want aren't going to come up as often as you want or as often as you're used to in other parts of the year. And you potentially need to be more selective and more aware and maybe even just take some of it off.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we always forget, isn't it?
Yeah.
We don't have to trade.
No, exactly.
And yet people still want to be at the coalface and even in the middle. I mean, I look at these markets and they're moving around quite well, but it's the intraday, because you do a bit more intraday trading. Yeah. It's the intraday where it flatlines for long periods, doesn't it? Yeah. And yet you can look at the charts at the end of the day and say, oh, that was actually had a reasonable day still, but it comes out of nowhere, doesn't it?
Well, that's the thing. You can look at it after a couple of days and look at a move and think, oh, that was great. But when you're sat there, if there's nothing to get you into it, you just have to accept it. One of the issues I'd had in previous years was potentially trying to chase a market to get in, and that backfired sometimes quite a bit. And it teaches you to actually just say, you know what, I just need to step back here. Regardless of how good the move looks, looking back over the past week or couple of weeks or even day, if your time frame isn't there, it's just a case of sitting on your hands.
So you've learnt this patience. Has this come this year then, has it?
I'd say it's probably been put to the test more this year, and it's something that I've had to learn this year. It's something I think I was aware of needing to have the patience in previous years, but I potentially didn't put that into practice. Whereas this year it's saying, actually, no.
This works, this stuff.
I need to be good. I need to focus on this. I need to do it correctly. And actually, if something isn't, if his trade isn't there, fine.
So it comes back to discipline again,
massively,
as always.
Massively.
It comes back to So it's discipline that you found this year. You mentioned to me, we had a coffee earlier on. You mentioned the time several months back when I berated you because you took too much risk on.
Yeah.
What was that all about then?
That was seeing. I think that was on the euro dollar, and it was a long, and me being potentially convinced, convinced / hope that a trade was going to work, and going into it thinking that the positions that I was going into it were sensible and that it might not affect me that much if it was to lose. And actually, I'm talking to you about it and then being told off a little bit. It was a case of actually reassessing that and saying, actually, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? What are my real reasons? Excluding hope, excluding blind belief or whatever it was at the time. Yeah, potentially it was greed as well. Potentially it was looking at it and saying, actually, if I go in, I think at one point it was 2.5% or something at risk, but actually saying, right, well, if that trade works, that's 10%, 12%. Well,
And how did it work?
the trade did work, but I did close out some of
Part of it.
I did close out some of the positions
Just to lighten the size of the
just to
position.
lighten the side to get it back to what the risk should have been.
Right, okay, good. All right, so there's been a few learns over this past year
Yeah.
then, discipline, patience, the usual sort of stuff, and realising, and self-realisation, I think that's a massive part of trading actually. Once you actually understand self,
Yeah.
it makes a big difference. You understand yourself now, you understand what you should and shouldn't be doing,
Yeah.
which for a lot of traders, they carry on doing the wrong things for a long time before they realise that. So you've been trading 4 or 5 years. Any horror stories along the way?
Any horror stories?
From your learn from when you've started this whole journey?
I think there's been a couple. One that I vaguely remember was trying to trade an FOMC minutes, when they come out, and I got that trade wrong. And I think the month before I'd got on the right side, and it was when I just started, and I was like, oh great, I've just got like £200 or whatever it was, and I made whatever it was, like 50 quid a minute for 4 minutes, that type of thing. And then the next month got it completely wrong and lost like 300, and just going, oh, right, fine. I think more recently, this year especially, there hasn't actually been any horror stories.
No.
There's been a couple of trades where I've looked back and kicked myself for going into.
Of course.
But on the plus side, I've used stop management and everything like that. So it might have been a bad trade, but it hasn't actually cost me that much.
So there's some big learning points we can take from this interview, like we've already said, discipline, patience,
Yeah.
and actually your overall progression as a trader. Those horror stories, like we've just asked about, they're a while ago in your past now, and even this year, of this last 8 months or so, there's been nothing that drastic that's really affected you, which is a good thing. So where do you see the future now for you, for Ben? What's your aspirations over the next 2, 3 years, 5 years, whatever?
For me, the next 2, 3 years, well, even up to 5 years, is all account growth. I think I can, because I have a small account, I think I can potentially triple the account in that time.
And that then makes it more tangible to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Setting goals, setting targets, but then it's that balancing act between setting a goal and setting a target, but also being patient if there isn't a trade there, and not being so goal focused that I'm thinking, oh, I haven't got my scheduled 4% this month, I need to be in something. Because if I start thinking like that, then actually that can snowball, and then I get into a bad trade rather than taking it, rather than being patient and just seeing out the rest of the day or the rest of the week and saying, right, start again. Is there anything else? Did I miss something? Or is it just a case of saying, right, this month is slightly under target, next month could well be slightly over target?
So your longer term aspirations are, like we've just said, over the next 2 to 3 years, is to get that account grown.
Yeah.
Then the following 2 to 3 years, is it a similar sort of growth rate that you're looking for?
I think it could well be, yeah. Maybe slightly less, but I'd like to think that in that time, my my discipline will be much better, and B, my knowledge of the markets and strategies and the strategy that I use will be that much better, that actually there's the chance that that growth rate could be the same in the account.
Very quickly, we haven't covered off strategies as you just mentioned them. So your favourite strategies are trading what?
Favourite strategies, I'd say my bread and butter strategies are divergences. Actually on the FTSE and the Dow.
Okay, right. And this is on an intraday basis?
This is on a 5-minute chart.
Right, okay. Yeah. And so you find that these turns come in when they diverge reasonably regularly for you?
For me, it's reasonably regular. It's as I said, my bread and butter trades. I can, that's one, slightly going back to the psychology or emotion of trading. That for me, because I know it, because I've looked at it enough and done my research on it, I can see it and just be completely emotionless about it. So,
emotionless trading, that's probably where we're going to have to end it, but that's probably the best way to trade, isn't it? Ben, thank you ever so much for coming on the show.
Pleasure, thank you.
My name's Charlie Burton. Trade safely out there.